Location: the office of Jack Varnish, Art Crimes Division. Time: 12:35 a.m. Weather: the rain has shifted from a drum roll to a hiss, a persistent static against the glass. The clock on the wall hums, a low electric buzz that underscores the silence of the precinct. It is the witching hour, the time when the alibis wear thin and the truth starts to float to the surface like oil on dark water. I'm still in the chair, the leather warm against my back, the smoke from my cigarette drifting up toward the stained ceiling tiles like a ghost trying to escape the room. I'm looking at the file labeled Merisi, but I'm not just reading it. I'm breathing it in. I'm weighing the ambition against the evidence. In the last chapter, we saw the starving boy from Milan hustle his way off the street and into the gilded sanctuary of Cardinal Francesco Maria del Monte. We left him walking through the heavy oak doors of the Palazzo Madama, leaving the mud of the Bassifondi behind. He had secured the patron. He had secured the roof over his head. He had supposedly won the lottery. But here is the thing about cages, even the golden ones. Eventually, the wolf starts to pace. I flipped the page to a section marked Household Accounts, 1596 to 1598. To understand the crime, and make no mistake, the life of Caravaggio is a crime scene in slow motion. We have to understand the world he just walked into. The Palazzo Madama wasn't just a home, it was a laboratory. Del Monte wasn't just a priest, he was a scientist, a musician, and a diplomat. He hosted Galileo Galilei, a man who was busy rewriting the laws of the universe. He owned a vase, the Portland vase, that was rumored to be an artifact of ancient magic. He had a room dedicated entirely to alchemy, where he tried to turn lead into gold. And in a way, he was trying to do the same thing with Merisi. He was trying to take this rough, volatile element of street lead, a boy with dirt under his fingernails and a chip on his shoulder, and transmute him into artistic gold. Imagine the sensory overload. Merisi had spent years smelling unwashed bodies, rotting garbage, and cheap wine. Now, he is surrounded by the scent of beeswax candles, expensive rosewater, and old paper. He is eating off silver plates. He is sleeping in a bed with clean linen. But comfort is a trap for a man like him. It makes him itch. I pull out a reproduction of the first major work Merisi painted inside the palace. It's not a religious scene. It's not a crime scene. It's a psychological puzzle. That painting is called The Musicians. I lay the photo on the desk and lean in. Look at it. It's claustrophobic. 4 boys are squeezed into a tight frame, pressing against each other, tuning their lutes and studying a musical score. It's an allegory of music, a favorite subject of the cardinal. It should be joyful. It should be harmonious. But look at their faces. They aren't playing a joyful tune. They look melancholy. They look drugged. The air in the painting feels thick, heavy with perfume and unspoken secrets. The boys are dressed in classical robes, but the robes look like bed sheets hastily thrown over street clothes. It's a costume party that has gone on too long. And look at the boy in the background, second from the right, the one holding the horn, looking directly at us with terrified glassy eyes. That's Merisi. That's a self-portrait. He's painted himself into the cardinal's fantasy. But he looks like a hostage. He looks like he's trying to signal for help. He is surrounded by beauty, but his eyes are screaming. This painting tells us everything about his life in the palace. He was given a salary. He was given a servant. He was dressed in black velvet. But he was on display. He was the wild man in the cardinal's menagerie. During the day, he had to play the role of the gentleman artist. He had to listen to the castrati singers wailing in the main hall. men who had been mutilated for the sake of art. He had to nod politely while intellectuals discussed the harmony of the spheres and the perfect geometry of God. But Morici knew that the harmony of the spheres was a lie. He knew that outside these walls, there was no harmony. There was only the noise of the street. There was only the geometry of the knife fight. I moved to the next image in the stack. The lute player. It's another beautiful lie. A boy with soft features, singing a love song, his fingers dancing on the strings. The still life on the table, the flowers, the fruit, is painted with a precision that makes you want to reach out and touch it. It is safe. It is decorative. It is exactly what a wealthy cardinal puts on his wall to impress his friends. But if you look closely at the violin on the table, you see a layer of dust. That's the varnish detail. That is the clue. Even in paradise, Caravaggio sees the dust. He sees the impermanence. He is painting beauty, but he is thinking about decay. He knows that the flowers will wilt tomorrow. He knows the fruit will rot. He knows the song will end. And while he was painting these soft, lyrical scenes, something dark was growing inside him. The disconnect between his day job and his nightlife was tearing him apart. The pressure of being the perfect guest was building up like steam in a sealed boiler. I open a folder labeled Special Commissions. The Cardinal, being a man of science and alchemy, decided to test the limits of his painter. He wanted to give a gift to the Grand Duke of Tuscany, a man who loved the macabre. He asked Morici to paint a shield. Not a canvas to hang on a wall, but a round wooden tournament shield, the kind used in pageants. And the subject? Medusa. I hold the photo under the lamp. This isn't the work of the man who painted the lute players. This is the work of a man who has seen hell. It is a portrait of pure, unadulterated terror. The head of the Gorgon has just been severed. The blood is gushing from the neck, thick, dark, arterial blood that looks wet on the wood. It splashes out in a way that suggests Morici had studied the physics of slaughter. The snakes in her hair are writhing, tangled in a knot of vipers, each one distinct, each one hissing. But look at the face. The mouth is open in a silent scream. The eyes are wide, popping out of the sockets in shock. She isn't just dead. She is aware that she is dying. Caravaggio has captured the split second of consciousness between life and death, the moment the brain realizes the body is gone. And here is the kicker, the detail that makes the hair on my arms stand up in this cold office. The face of Medusa is a self-portrait. He didn't use a female model. He looked in the mirror again. He screamed at his own reflection until the veins stood out in his neck. And he painted his own terror onto the monster. Why? What was he afraid of? Was he afraid of the law catching up to him? Was he afraid of his own violent temper? Or was he afraid that the monster inside him, the darkness that fueled his art, was finally taking over? This shield was a warning. He was sending a message to the Cardinal and to the world. There is violence in me, and if you keep pushing, it's going to come out. The art world, of course, didn't see the warning. They only saw the genius. They saw the optical illusion of the convex shield making the head look like it was popping out into the room. The shield was sent to Florence, and the legend of Caravaggio began to grow. But fame is a dangerous drug for a man with an addictive personality. It doesn't satisfy, it only changes the taste. I flip the page to the police blotter. This is where the noir element takes over. The double life moves from the studio to the street. Caravaggio isn't just painting monsters anymore, he's acting like one. He develops a rivalry with a painter named Giovanni Baglione. Every great detective story needs a nemesis. For Caravaggio, It was Baglione. Baglione was the anti-Caravaggio. He was mediocre, he was safe, he was politically savvy, and he was desperate for approval. He tried to copy Caravaggio's style, the heavy shadows, the dramatic lighting, but he missed the point entirely. He painted the darkness, but he forgot the soul. Caravaggio hated him. He didn't just dislike him, he loathes him with a petty, obsessive intensity. He saw Baglione as a fraud, a man wearing the uniform of a soldier without ever having fought in the war. I pick up a transcript of a deposition. It's almost funny, in a dark way. Merisi and his friends, his gang of painters and troublemakers, start circulating poems around Rome. Dirty, insulting, libelous poems about Baglione. They call him a giancolion, a fool. They say his paintings are fit for wiping. Well, let's just say they weren't fit for the altar. They attack his honor, his talent, and his manhood. Imagine the scene. The greatest painter of his generation, the man redefining art history, is spending his nights drunk in a tavern, writing schoolyard insults to ruin a rival's reputation. It's petty, it's childish, but it reveals a deep paranoia. Merisi is terrified of being replaced. He is terrified that someone will steal his thunder. He prowls the streets of the Campo Marzio like a dog guarding a bone, snapping at anyone who comes too close, and he carries the sword. I find the specific arrest record, May 4th, 1598. It's 2 a.m. The rain is falling, just like it is tonight. Merisi is walking near Piazza Navona. He is wearing his black velvet cloak, and the sword is slapping against his thigh. He is followed by that dog, Crow, a black poodle he taught to walk on its hind legs, a surreal touch to his nightly patrols. A city guard steps out of the shadows, the captain of the watch. Halt! You have no license for that weapon. Merisi stops. He doesn't cower. He doesn't make an excuse. He looks the guard in the eye. I am Michelangelo Merisi, he says. I am the painter for the Cardinal del Monte. I draw a stipend. I am a man who can walk where I please. I am a man who can walk where I please. There it is. The hubris. The belief that art places him above the law. He believes that because he eats off silver plates, the rules of the street no longer apply to him. The guard arrests him anyway. He spends the night in the Tordinona prison, a hellhole of damp stone and rats. The cardinal bails him out the next morning. But the lesson Merisi learns isn't don't carry a sword. It's I can get away with anything. He returns to the Palazzo Madama, smelling of the prison, and goes straight back to the canvas. The anger fuels him. The humiliation fuels him. And then the call comes. The cardinal has been watching. He sees the violence. He sees the genius. He sees the rivalry. And he decides to bet the house on his wild man. He decides it is time to channel that rage into something holy. He secures a commission that will either make Merisi immortal or destroy him completely. The Contarelli Chapel. I pull the contract from the file. Dated July 1599. The job. 3 massive paintings for the French church of San Luigi dei Francesi. The subject, the life of St. Matthew. The stakes, absolute. This is the moment the art detective concept was made for. This is the big leagues. No more private shields, no more lute players. This is a public church. The critics will be there. Baglione will be there, waiting for him to fail. The Pope might be there. The priests give him strict instructions. They want majesty. They want heaven opening up. They want angels on clouds. They want the standard, safe religious propaganda. They want the saint to look like a hero. Merisi stands in the empty chapel. It is cold, dark, and damp. The air smells of incense and old stone. He looks at the blank walls. They are huge, terrifyingly huge. He has never painted a canvas this size. He has never painted a history painting with multiple figures. He is terrified. For a moment, the swagger vanishes. He realizes he might not be able to do it. He could play it safe. He could copy Michelangelo or Raphael. He could give the priests exactly what they want. But Jack Varnish knows what he's thinking. I can feel it across 4 centuries. He's thinking about the card sharps. He's thinking about the fortune tellers. He's thinking about the tavern at midnight. He's thinking about the look in Baglione's eyes if he paints something boring. He decides to run the ultimate hustle. He decides to paint a religious miracle, but he's going to set it in a basement. He goes back to his studio. He doesn't hire professional models. He drags his friends in from the street. You, he points to a burly, bearded man, probably a fence or a brawler. You sit there. You're St. Matthew. You, he points to the young sharp from the card game painting. You sit there. You're counting the money. He sets the stage. He blocks out the light. He creates a gloomy, cellar-like atmosphere. He decides that he won't paint the heavens opening up. He will paint a beam of harsh, dusty light cutting through the darkness of a Roman dive bar. He paints the calling of St. Matthew. I slide the photo across the desk. It is a masterpiece of crime noir. Christ enters the room, but he isn't glowing. He's in the shadows. He points a finger borrowed from Michelangelo's Adam, but made gritty and real. And the tax collectors at the table, they look like mobsters counting the take. They are wearing contemporary clothes, feathered hats, velvet doublets, swords. They look like the men Marisi drinks with. They look like the men he fights with. Do you see what he did? He didn't take the viewer back to biblical times. He brought Jesus into 1600s Rome. He walked Jesus into the osteria. It was a shockwave. When the curtain came down and the public saw this, they didn't know whether to pray or call the police. It was too real. It was too dirty. The light didn't look divine. It looked like the light from an open cellar door. And it was magnificent. Overnight, the delicate boy from the Palazzo Madama vanished. In his place stood the most famous and controversial painter in Italy. The velvet cage had served its purpose. The wolf was now the alpha. The hunger was gone. The starvation was over. He had the money. He had the fame. He had the world at his feet. But as I close the file on this chapter, I see the warning signs flashing like neon in the rain. Success didn't calm him down. It poured gasoline on the fire. Now, he wasn't just a thug with a sword. He was a famous thug with a sword. He felt untouchable. He felt that the world owed him everything. And that is a dangerous thing for a man with a darkness inside him. The painting of Medusa was a prophecy, and the prophecy was about to come true. The storm outside is getting louder. The wind is rattling the window pane, demanding entry. The velvet cage is open, and the beast is loose in the city. I stub out the cigarette. The investigation is just heating up.